So this morning we are going to explore business partnerships because I have two cases that I'm working on that are bad business partnerships. Well, business partnerships gone wrong. That's a better topic. Business partnerships gone wrong and things you can do to prevent issues with your business partner before you actually start the business. So prior to starting the business, it is always important that you have things in writing. Who is investing what? How much are they investing? And if it's time and equity, what are the specific roles and responsibilities that they're going to have? Not just, oh, we're good friends, oh, that's my brother, therefore we're going to get into business together and it doesn't matter what anyone's doing because we have a relationship. The relationship is not going to save the business because ultimately human beings are very self-interested. That means in most situations, they will try to find ways to benefit themselves first. It's not a bad thing, that's just how we survive. So in your business relationships, you want to be very clear as to what each person is supposed to bring to the table. Secondly, you want to be clear on what happens with any disillusion, disputes, or separation. What happens if one party wants to leave the business relationship? Also, what happens if one party can no longer function in the business, assuming that they're working in the business? They can no longer function in the business, but they still want to be a part of it. What happens in those scenarios? It doesn't seem like those are things that are going to be issues until they become issues, and oftentimes they do. Something happens, one person's life changes, one person needs more money, then they want to be out of business, but they still like the idea and they still want to benefit from it. So you want to be clear as to what happens in that scenario. Also, if they're married, in the case of a divorce, what happens? I mean, is the business open for, is it something where they're investing money from their separate property, or is it because they're equity holders, therefore that's going to be potentially split? You don't anticipate a divorce, no one does, but 50% of marriages kind of most times go that way. So you do want to have some idea of what you and your partner are thinking and how you guys may address such situations. Also, what happens if one person passes away? Once again, we don't anticipate it, but it happens. What happens if one person passes away, and how does that person's interest, financial gain, interest in the business, how does that ultimately transfer to the family? That means there has to be clarity or alignment as to the family interest, and you as the partner, you have to make sure you also let your family know that there is an interest in this business somewhere, because things happen. So as you're entering a business relationship, part of all these things I just mentioned, the last few things I mentioned are about termination of some sort. So what happens with termination? How do you terminate or dissolve the business? How do you sort of separate your buyout interests? So you want to have conversations about any sort of buyout conversation. Also, how do you transfer or bring in new partners if that happens to come up in the future? So everything from inception to transfer, dissolution, alignment for both parties is going to be very crucial. And it's important that you do that early on. So when things begin to change, you're not going into a situation where one party surprises the other with a termination, or surprises the other with, a desire to dissolve. But there's been clear conversations as to how you guys will resolve some of these things and how you guys will deal with any changes, positive or negative, and how you intend to move forward. And this is just primarily on the business creation aspect of things. We'll have follow-up conversations on business strategy. We'll have follow-up conversations on people management, contract management, service agreements, client management, and any of those things relating to your business. I forgot to mention, I'm Ezenwayi Abi. I'm an attorney and a real estate broker here in the Houston area, and you can always contact us at abilegal.com.